Welcome back to another episode of Humans Are Whack. And today, we're taking a trip far away from roller coasters, amusement parks, and safety harnesses straight into the wild. The jungle, a place where every leaf hides a predator, every sound means danger, and one wrong decision can end everything. On our first story for today is the terrifying case of Ethan Morales, the hiker who wandered off the trail and was never seen alive again. Ethan was an adventure-loving traveler in his mid-30s, visiting a massive rainforest known for its wildlife, humidity, and endless, maze-like trails. He came with a group, guided by an expert who knew the paths like the back of his hand. But somewhere during the hike, after stopping to take photos, Ethan made a mistake so simple it felt harmless. He stepped away from the trail, just a few meters, just long enough to think he could find his way back. When he returned to where he thought the group should have been, they were gone. No voices, no footsteps, nothing but trees upon trees. Search teams later found only two things: his backpack tangled in vines, and his camera lying beside a set of fresh predator tracks, a large cat, most likely a jaguar. The photos on the camera told the rest of the story. The deeper he walked, the darker the forest became. The shots became shaky, then frantic. The last image, two glowing eyes reflected in the flash, staring straight at him from the bushes. What makes this story so chilling is how fast it happened. One step off the path, that's all it took. In the jungle, there is no just a second. There is no I'll catch up. There is only the wilderness, waiting. And Ethan Morales became one of its many victims. On our next story for today is the chilling fate of Daniel Rusk, the explorer who tried to cross a raging jungle river and never made it to the other side. Daniel was a 41-year-old adventurer, the kind of guy who lived for danger. He had traveled through deserts, mountains, and frozen landscapes. So when he reached a rainforest known for its brutal waterways, he treated it like just another challenge to conquer. But the jungle doesn't care about confidence. During an expedition, Daniel and his team stopped at a river swollen from days of rain, muddy, loud, and moving way too fast. The guide warned them, "We don't cross this river. Not today." But Daniel was stubborn. He believed he could handle it. He tied his gear, tightened his boots, and said he would just wade across. The moment he stepped into the water, the current grabbed him like a hand. 1 second he was standing, the next he was gone. His team watched helplessly as he was dragged downstream, spinning, slamming into rocks, disappearing under the surface. Hours later, rescuers found pieces of his backpack wedged between roots near a swirling patch of water, a hidden whirlpool locals had warned about for years. Divers recovered nothing else. The river had swallowed him whole. Daniel Rusk underestimated the one thing you never underestimate in the jungle: water. Because a river in the wild isn't just water moving downhill. It's a force, a trap, a beast waiting for someone overconfident enough to challenge it. And Daniel became its next victim. On our next story for today is the unbelievable tragedy of Mia Hartley, the tourist who mistook a sleeping crocodile for a statue. Mia was a 26-year-old traveler, known for taking silly vacation photos everywhere she went. So when she visited a jungle wildlife reserve filled with wooden carvings, stone sculptures, and animal replicas, she thought she had found the perfect place for new content. What she didn't know was that one of those statues wasn't a statue at all. While walking with a tour group, Mia spotted what she thought was a large, beautifully carved crocodile figure resting by the riverbank. It wasn't moving. It looked perfectly still, too still. And in the heat of the moment, the cameras, the scenery, the excitement, she decided to walk closer for a funny photo. The guide shouted. The group panicked. But Mia didn't hear them in time. She got close, too close, close enough to reach her hand out. And in an instant, the crocodile's eyes snapped open. The statue lunged with terrifying speed, dragging her into the water before anyone could react. Crocodiles don't attack twice. They attack once, and it's over. Rescuers searched the muddy river for hours, but the jungle doesn't give back what it takes. What makes Mia's story so haunting is how ordinary it seemed. A simple mistake, a moment of confusion, a creature that blends perfectly with its surroundings. In the jungle, stillness is not safety. Stillness is camouflage, and Mia hardly learned that too late. On our next story for today is the terrifying encounter of Carter Briggs, the hunter who climbed a tree for a better view and accidentally disturbed a massive beehive. Carter was a 38-year-old experienced outdoorsman, confident in his survival skills. He often tracked wildlife deep in the jungle, taking risks most wouldn't dare. But the jungle doesn't respect confidence. During one expedition, Carter spotted a herd of rare jungle animals in the distance. Determined to get a closer look, he decided to climb a tall tree for the perfect vantage point. What he didn't notice was a giant beehive, hidden behind thick branches, teeming with thousands of aggressive bees. The moment he touched the branches above him, the hive shook violently. Bees poured out, buzzing like a living storm. Carter tried to climb down, but the bees were relentless. Stings covered him instantly. Panicked, he lost his grip, falling several meters to the ground. The injuries and the shock were too severe. His companions rushed to help, but the jungle had already sealed the moment in its memory. Carter's story is a reminder that no matter how skilled or experienced you are, the jungle always has surprises waiting. And sometimes, nature itself becomes the hunter. On our next story for today is the shocking fate of Lucas Finch, the man who drank from a freshwater spring that wasn't what it seemed. Lucas was a 32-year-old survival enthusiast, traveling deep into an uncharted section of the jungle. He prided himself on knowing how to find food and water where others couldn't. But in the jungle, appearances can be deadly. After hours of trekking under the scorching canopy, Lucas spotted what looked like a crystal-clear spring. Exhausted and parched, he didn't hesitate. He knelt down and took a long drink. Within moments, everything went wrong. The water was contaminated with dangerous bacteria and toxins. Lucas started to feel dizzy. His vision blurred. Panic set in as the jungle seemed to spin around him. He tried to make his way back to his camp, but his body was weakening fast. Hours later, his team found him slumped beside the spring, lifeless. The lesson was clear. In the jungle, nothing is guaranteed. What looks safe can be fatal. And Lucas Finch became a grim example of why you never underestimate the dangers lurking behind even the simplest resources. On our next story for today is the horrifying incident involving Sofia Delgado, the photographer who backed up for the perfect shot and stepped straight into a camouflaged animal pit. Sofia was a 27-year-old wildlife photographer, fearless in her pursuit of the most stunning jungle images. She spent hours tracking rare animals, waiting for the perfect light, the perfect angle. During one expedition, she spotted a striking bird perched near the ground. In her excitement, she took a step back, focusing entirely on framing the shot. What she didn't see was the camouflaged pit, covered with leaves and vines, used by jungle predators to trap prey. In an instant, Sofia fell several feet into the pit, twisting her ankle and injuring herself badly. She tried to climb out, but the steep walls and hidden obstacles made escape impossible. Hours later, rescuers arrived, but she barely survived the ordeal. Her camera, miraculously, survived, capturing some of the jungle's most deadly lessons in the process. Sofia's story is a reminder that in the jungle, beauty and danger are inseparable. One small misstep, one moment of focus on perfection, can turn a dream shot into a life-threatening trap. On our next story for today is the chilling tale of Ryan Caldwell, the survivalist who decided to spend one night alone in a restricted jungle zone and never made it out. Ryan was 35, a skilled outdoorsman who loved testing his limits. He had survived harsh conditions before, and he thought he knew exactly what he was doing. But the jungle doesn't care about experience. Ignoring warnings from local guides, Ryan set out to camp in a restricted area, claiming he wanted the ultimate survival challenge. At first, everything seemed fine. A fire crackled, the sounds of nocturnal creatures filled the air, and Ryan documented his adventure for his followers. But as darkness deepened, strange noises began circling the campsite, rustling leaves, snapping twigs, and low, guttural calls from unseen predators. He tried to stay calm, but the situation quickly spiraled out of control. The fire went out, and the jungle closed in around him. Morning came, and search teams found his abandoned camp, supplies scattered, and signs of a struggle. But Ryan himself was never recovered. Ryan Caldwell's story is a harsh reminder that in the jungle, rules exist for a reason. Even the most skilled survivalists are vulnerable when they ignore the dangers of the wild. On our next story for today is the terrifying case of Dr. Helena Frost, the botanist who brushed against a plant that looked ordinary but was one of the most toxic species in the world. Dr. Frost, 42, spent her life studying jungle flora, cataloging plants, and teaching others about the wonders of the rainforest. She knew how to identify countless species, or so she thought. During an expedition, she came across a plant with striking leaves and a subtle, pleasant scent. Assuming it was harmless, she leaned in to examine it closely. The moment she touched it, her skin began to burn. A rash spread rapidly, and her body reacted violently. The jungle's humidity and heat made it nearly impossible for her to escape the effects. Despite immediate assistance from her team, Dr. Frost's condition worsened, and she succumbed to the plant's potent toxins before medical help could arrive. Her story serves as a chilling reminder that in the jungle, even knowledge and experience can't guarantee safety. Nature can be beautiful and deadly, all at the same time. On our next story for today is the terrifying night of Liam and Sophie Turner, the campers who ignored food safety rules and woke up with a big cat in their tent. Liam and Sophie, a young couple in their late 20s, had been exploring the jungle for a few days, enjoying the thrill of camping in the wild. They loved taking risks, laughing off warnings from locals about storing food properly. One evening, they left their snacks and meat out in the tent, thinking nothing would happen. The jungle, however, had other plans. In the dead of night, they awoke to the sound of heavy breathing and claws scraping the tent fabric. Their hearts pounded as they realized a large jungle predator, a leopard, had entered their tent, attracted by the smell of food. Panic set in. The couple tried to stay still, hoping the animal would leave. But the predator, driven by instinct and hunger, became aggressive. In the chaos that followed, both Liam and Sophie were seriously injured. Rescue teams arrived hours later. The injuries were severe, and the event left the couple traumatized for life. This story is a stark reminder that in the jungle, rules about food, fire, and shelter are not suggestions. Ignoring them can turn an adventure into a nightmare. On our final story for today is the tragic attempt of Marcus Lee, the hiker who tried to swing across a river using a vine and didn't survive. Marcus was 31, a thrill seeker with a love for testing his limits in the jungle. On a hiking expedition with friends, he came across a wide, rushing river that blocked their path. Spying a thick vine hanging over the water, Marcus decided it was the perfect opportunity for a daring swing. His friends shouted warnings. Local guides shook their heads, but Marcus was determined and confident. He grabbed the vine, launched himself over the river, and instantly realized the vine wasn't as secure as it looked. Halfway across, the vine snapped. Marcus plunged into the fast-moving water below, hitting hidden rocks and undercurrents. His friends could only watch in horror. Rescue teams found him hours later, the jungle river claiming yet another life. Marcus Lee's story is a harsh reminder that in the jungle, overconfidence can be fatal. A single reckless decision, no matter how small it seems, can end everything. And that wraps up our countdown of the 10 worst jungle deaths. Stories that are shocking, tragic, and a chilling reminder of how quickly adventure can turn deadly when caution is ignored. From hikers wandering off the trail, to explorers underestimating rivers, to campers ignoring basic safety rules, these stories show that the jungle is unforgiving. Every step, every choice, every moment counts. Remember, the most dangerous thing in the jungle isn't always the animals, the rivers, or the plants. It's the decisions we make. If you're watching this episode, we want to hear from you. Comment below with where you re-watching from and what time it is. We love seeing our global humans, our WAC family in action. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next jaw-dropping story. Stay curious, stay safe, and remember, the jungle doesn't forgive mistakes.